Heat shimmered above the hard-packed trail, the kind that made the air itself look tired. Grit scraped between her teeth with every breath, the wind tossing it against her cheeks like a dare. She kept her head down beneath the rim of her bonnet, one hand tightening on the worn handle of her carpetbag. Each step left a shallow print in the dirt, the sun bleaching the world pale and colorless. Up ahead, a figure sat on a splintered fence post, small, thin, bare feet dangling above the dust. The wind pulled at her braids, whipping them across her face, but she didn't flinch or look away. Those eyes, too steady for her age, stayed fixed on the woman walking toward her. "You need a home," the girl said when they were close enough for her voice to carry over the wind. "And I need a mommy." The woman stopped. The carpetbag's weight shifted against her thigh. She looked at the child, then at the road stretching on toward the low roofs of a town in the distance. "My father's gone," the girl went on, as if the words were just another fact the day had delivered. "Got trampled in a cattle run. Mama's been gone longer. My uncle's the sheriff, but he don't want me for more than making sure I'm fed." The woman's boots pressed faintly into the dry dirt. "What makes you think I've got a home to give?" "You got nowhere else," the girl answered. Her tone wasn't pleading, just certain. The wind picked up, snapping the edge of the woman's cloak. A scrap of white lace showed beneath it, the hem of a dress that had once been fine, though now dulled with travel and dust. "Supposed to meet your husband in Dry Willow?" the girl asked. The woman's gaze flicked toward the hazy outline of the town. "Supposed to?" The girl dropped her eyes to the road. "He's dead. Saloon fight 2 nights ago. Folks say it was quick." Neither spoke for a long moment. The fence creaked under the girl's weight. Somewhere far off, a crow called. Finally, the woman shifted her carpetbag to her other hand. "Town's that way," she said. The girl hopped down from the fence post, landing light in the dust. "I'll walk with you." They fell in a step, a strange pair, one tall and cloaked, the other barefoot and thin. The wind pressed at their backs, hurting them forward. Ahead, the roofs of Dry Willow baked under the merciless sky. The woman didn't ask the girl's name, and the girl didn't offer it. The sound of their steps was all that marked their passing, 2 shadows stretching long toward whatever waited in that dusty town. Boots hit the boardwalk with a hollow thud, the sound sharp in the still air. The saloon doors swayed on their hinges, letting out a waft of stale beer and sour sweat. Piano notes stumbled inside, half-hearted and off-key, like the player wanted to be anywhere else. The woman stepped down from the boardwalk into the street, the girl beside her. A dozen eyes followed them, from the shadowed gaps of alleyways, from windows with lace curtains drawn just enough to watch. Sheriff Grady Pike stood on the porch of the jailhouse, arms folded, badge dull in the late light. His eyes flicked to the girl, then to the stranger at her side. "You're still here," he said flatly. "She's with me." The girl answered before the woman could speak. Grady's jaw worked. "Not wise. This town's no place for strays." The creak of leather drew their attention down the street. A line of riders approached, dust curling up behind them. At their head sat Clay Maddox, broad-shouldered, sunburnt, eyes like river stones. His hat brim cast a shadow that didn't soften his smile. He reined in before the jailhouse, glancing between the sheriff and the woman. "Afternoon," he drawled. "Heard there's some fresh company in town." His gaze lingered on the girl. "I hear you've got yourself a patch of land." The girl's shoulders tightened, but she kept her chin up. "That land's under my protection," Grady said. "Protection," Maddox echoed, letting the word roll slow. "Don't come free. Maybe we ought to talk about ownership." One of his riders swung down, swaggered toward the woman. "What's your business here, darling?" When his hand reached for her arm, the movement was quick, a sharp twist, the crack of a strained joint, his gun hand falling useless to his side. The man stumbled back, cursing. The street went still. Maddox's smile thinned. "You've got some bite for a lady in silk." The woman said nothing, only adjusted her cloak and turned toward the girl. Maddox leaned forward in his saddle. "We'll be seeing each other again." The riders moved on, dust settling in their wake. Grady's eyes narrowed at the woman. "You should leave before you give him more reason." The girl reached for the woman's hand. "We're going home," she said. The woman gave a single nod. Together they walked out of town, their shadows stretching ahead toward the darkening horizon, where the low hills hid whatever waited next. Rain hammered the tin roof, a steady roar that swallowed the night. Lightning flared through the windows, throwing the room into jagged white and black. The girl sat cross-legged on the bed, clutching a quilt to her chest, eyes darting toward the sound of hoofbeats in the yard. The woman stepped onto the porch, lantern in hand. Wind toward her cloak, rain slashing sideways. 4 riders sat their horses just beyond the fence, shapes cut from the storm. One called out, voice muffled by the downpour. "You got papers to that land? Bring out, sign him over." The woman's answer was quiet, but it carried. "Go home, boys. I've buried men for less." The lead rider laughed, short, sharp, and nudged his horse forward. Lightning split the sky again. Her eyes didn't leave his. Boots clattered behind her. Sheriff Pike came through the rain, his hat pulled low. "You trying to draw blood your first week here?" he snapped, voice tight. "You don't know Maddox. He doesn't let go." She didn't turn. "Neither do I." The riders hesitated, muttered to each other, then wheeled their horses and disappeared into the sheets of rain. Pike grabbed her arm, spinning her toward the doorway. "Who are you, really?" The lantern light caught the hard edge in her eyes. "Once I was a wife." He was a Texas Ranger. They shot him in the back. I hunted every last man who touched him. After that, there was nothing left to keep me in Texas. The wind slammed the shutters. The girl stood in the doorway, the quilt trailing on the floor. "They'll be back," Pike said, "and they won't be talking next time." She looked past him to the girl. "Then we'll be ready." Thunder rolled over the hills, long and low. She told the girl to pack a bag, just in case, her voice calm as if speaking about tomorrow's breakfast. Out in town, beyond the curtain of rain, lamps burned late in Maddox's saloon. Men gathered, their voices swallowed by the storm. The storyteller's voice seemed to ride with the thunder. By morning, the sun wouldn't be the only thing rising over Dry Willow. Sunlight bled over the canyon rim, red as spilled wine. The yard was still, the frost-hardened earth crunching under boot heels as Clay Maddox and his riders fanned out before the porch. The woman stood in the open, coat buttoned high, shadow stretched long across the dirt. Behind her, the girl's small figure waited on the porch steps, hands curled tight around the railing. Maddox tipped his hat back. "Mail-order bride playing sheriff now? You're a stubborn one." Her voice was even. "This land stays hers." He swung down from the saddle, boots sinking into the cold dirt. "Not after today." The coat slid from her shoulders. The morning light caught the steel of 2 well-worn Colts, grips polished by years of use, tied low at her hips. The riders shifted uneasily. Maddox's smile twitched. "So that's how it is." Her hands hung loose at her sides, fingers brushing the holster grips. A breath passed. Nothing more, before the street erupted in thunder. Gunfire cracked sharp against the canyon walls. She moved like water over rock, smooth and sure, each shot finding its mark before the next man cleared leather. Horses reared, hooves tearing furrows in the frost. One rider spun from the saddle. Another dropped to his knees, clutching his chest. Maddox's hand finally found his gun, but hers was already leveled. His breath steamed in the cold as he froze, the barrel aimed between his eyes. "You'll ride out," she said, voice steady over the ringing silence. "And you won't come back." He swallowed hard, then stepped back. The last of his men dragged him into the saddle, and together they wheeled away, galloping toward the canyon mouth. Dust settled slow in the morning air. Sheriff Pike rode in, eyes taking in the bodies the precision of the shots. "Lord help me," he murmured. "You're faster than any man I've seen." She reloaded without looking at him. The girl stepped down from the porch, slipping her small hand into the woman's. "You need a home," she said softly, "and I need a mommy." The woman looked toward the sun breaking over the hills. Somewhere, the storyteller's voice rose, quiet and certain. And from that morning on, Dry Willow knew the sun came up a little stronger when she was there, 'cause some legends don't just ride into town, they stay.